You say your words.
Okay, here we go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Art Hive, visiting the artist studio. Today, we are very, very lucky to have Robin Patterson to be with us. Hi, Roxanne.
Hello.
Welcome. Hi, Mylise.
Hi, Linda.
Good
Hi,
to see you.
everybody.
Yes.
Oh,
All right. As well, actually, I will let Robin itself introduce. I know of her as a fine artist and a art teacher in this area. She's very much sought after. She has many classes and is always full with waiting list. I have seen some of her beautiful work. Invited her to showcase her work at the Glengarry Lodge, what I used to work for a while, for the past 20 some 8 years until I retire. So she certainly produced beautiful work as well. So without further ado, I just want to introduce to you Robin Patterson. I know that many of you will be joining us later, and we'll just get it going so that we have plenty of time for her to present her presentation.
yeah, we're excited.
Okay. I'm a little nervous. I guess I've always been an artist. As soon as I could pick up a pencil, I was drawing. My dad, my uncle, my grandmother, I was surrounded by people who were artists. That's not me. I don't know what that is. In grade school, I was always an artist. My choice of high schools, I was very lucky. I grew up in Vermont, and I had a choice of high schools. I had a choice of, I think, 4 or 5 high schools that I could have chosen. I chose the one with the art program, of course. So I was able to have, in Vermont, we have high school for 4 years, and I was able to have art classes for all 4 years. They also had a graphic art program that was happening the last 2 years of my high school in my junior and senior year. I took the graphic arts program, which was a half a day. I think it was 5 days a week. It could have been 3 days a week, but it was a half a day. When I ended high school, I was an ready to work graphic artist, which was kind of cool. The art program in my high school had everything. We had kilns, we had presses for printing. It was an incredible experience these 4 years. I had the same teacher, and he was extremely helpful to anyone who had as much interest as I did in art. I remember once we had to choose an artist and do a whole thing on this artist. I chose Alexander Calder, and I wanted to make this massive mobile. And my art teacher, he personally went out and got a roll of spring steel for me to make the big, huge things, mobile pieces that hung in the manner of Alexander Calder. It was too big to stay in the art room. I had to go in the gym. But yeah, I was privileged, I think, to be able to do that. I'm just going to share my screen to show you. Let me just figure out how to do this. Can you see that? Oop, not yet. Share. Are you able to see that picture?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is, I was part of a congressional arts contest it was in New England, and I won one of the awards. Look at my hair. That painting that I have still there, that right there, I still have that painting. That is an ink and gouache painting on gray paper. And that was the painting that won the award. Okay, so when I painted and I did graphic art, I moved to Montreal when I was about 20. and here, I guess I'll stop sharing for a second. I moved to Montreal when I was about 20 and became took a graphic arts job. I eventually ended up being the, what would they call it? The director of the arts program there. And then I had kids and I stopped everything. I couldn't draw, I couldn't paint, I couldn't do anything when I had my 2 little boys, because if I did that, I would not feed them. It was too consuming. I was very easily consumed by art. So I stopped completely everything until my kids were about 6 and 7, and somebody needed some help with something. And I'm like, well, here, I'll show you how to do it. So I drew something for them and they were agog. You know how to draw? I'm like, oh no, I really have not done a good thing by quitting, by stopping all of this. So I got back into drawing. I'm going to share my screen again because I want to show you what I did. Okay, so I think I just click here. Yes, I do. I started doing portraits. People started to commission me to do portraits, and I did a lot of portraits I feel very strange because no one's talking, but everybody's got their mics off, I guess. So I started doing portraits in charcoal, and people would commission me. Most of the people commissioned me to do their kids. I did enjoy it. However, I found it extremely difficult because when somebody commissions you for a portrait for their kids, they want it to look exactly like their kids. They don't leave a lot of room for artistic expression. So I ended up doing, like you can see, I also did other things. This was acrylic. And this was a commission. Actually, it was my sister who commissioned me for this. This was her dojo, I think you call it. We taught her karate. She's a black belt. This was one of my kids' piano teacher. Pastel. Okay, now we'll stop there. Stop sharing. So yeah, I ended up doing a lot of portraits, and the parents eventually started to ask me, can you teach my kid to draw? Can you do an after-school program for drawing? I had no idea why I knew how to draw. I've always had an ability to draw. It came naturally. I know I had a lot of people around me who knew how to draw. My father also was very, we would sit at a table and he would say, okay, now we're going to draw circles. Now we're going to draw straight lines. We did a lot of drills like that. We did drills for reading and math too, but art was part of it. Art was always part of it. Anytime anyone asked me what I wanted to do, it was art. That was it. There was nothing else. But I didn't know why. I didn't know how to teach something if you don't know how you can do it. So I started researching, a lot of research. This was, wow, 20 years ago. I did a lot of research on drawing on the right side of the brain. I actually read that book, It's Tattered. I read it so much to try to figure out how I knew to draw. The conclusion that I came to was it's because I could see, and I could see more than most people could see. I think the reason that happened is when I was 5 years old, I started kindergarten, and my teachers told my parents that I needed glasses. They said, she can't see anything. I could see like here, and that's it. So I went to have my eyes tested, and my eyes only started to change maybe the last 10 years, but my eyes were so bad that I couldn't see. If my hand was this far, I couldn't see that I had fingernails. So I got my new glasses at age 5, and I couldn't walk because I didn't know how to step over stones and through grass. I did not know that trees had leaves. I stood there, I walked to the car And it took me 20 minutes to walk to the car crying because I didn't understand how to move in this world that I had never seen before. I knew there was grass, yes, because I would lay in the grass and I would see the grass. But when you're walking through things that look like piles of stones and it's a sidewalk, it's confusing. But from that moment, my ears shut off and my eyes just became the whole focus of my life. And I became so visual that in school, I couldn't learn by listening. If I didn't have a pencil in my hand and I didn't doodle, I couldn't record what the teacher was saying. Everything that, if I'm on the phone, I'm doodling. Everything that I'm doing to hear, I need to use my pencil or something to create something in front of me. So I think that's why I could draw, is because all of a sudden my life was only visual. So after I did a lot of studying, I decided to take, let me just see if I can find there we go. I decided to open up take an after school program at my kids' school. My kids' school, I was a volunteer there at the library. And so they said, yeah, do it. They didn't charge me anything. I was able to go after school. The parents paid me. And I just started teaching kids to draw. I'm going to share something. This is another portrait. Okay. So I started teaching drawing at school using the drawing on the right side of the brain techniques. This is how much it works. This drawing here is day one of one of my 12-year-old students. Was he 12? Yeah, he was 11 or 12. And after 10 weeks, this was his drawing. So I learned that this works. This method worked beautifully. And I did this for quite a few years at that school. Stop sharing. Okay, so quite a few years I did that after school. And then throughout the years, I never had a studio. I couldn't teach a lot of people at once because I never had a studio. I had private students, one-on-one. After my kids were out of that school and I didn't use that school anymore, I would have private students one-on-one, no problem. And then I started moving around the country. My husband now is in the military, and I didn't even have any students at all. Once we moved here, I decided to teach again and open a studio. And I tried to use this method, and I found that it didn't work as well as it did back then. This method worked with 9-year-olds back then, but now I attribute it a little bit to screen time, but there's less, it didn't work as well. I had to change my methods. And I have, but I also, I teach everything. I teach a lot of things, not just drawing. Okay, so anyway, I fell in love with teaching. It really made me want to do it for the rest of my life, kind of. And I also took, at the same school, I did an Art Smarts program. I don't know if it exists still, but it was in Quebec, in Brossard. And the Art Smarts program used to pair artists with classes. So I taught a 16-week poetry class to a bunch of 5th and 6th graders, and there were 30 in the class, and I now have so much respect for teachers at schools. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. You take 30 kids, grade 5 and 6, boys and girls, and say, you're going to write poetry. Very few kids wanted to do that. So I feel really great that I can teach art to kids who want to teach art. I'm not in a school where they're taking art for the easy credit. I'm teaching art to kids or people, not just kids, who want to learn. Okay, so I did a lot of drawing is my favorite medium. Does anybody have any questions about that? Yes, please.
Thank you for asking. I was thinking it's good that you give us and share with us very interesting information and to get to know about you, and also to open some questions as well,
Yes,
because
please.
now it's popping in my head. So I wanted to know this time when you decided to not to work. I was, for now I'm making for like how many years, 18 years almost, how art's changing people's life in societies and in, you know, with kids, with adults, with people who went through trauma, or, and this is my passion, to know that and to learn more about how art changing people's life. So my question is, when did you stop art? Did you notice that you are changing? Because I know you stopped for a very noble thing, right? You get your kids, you want to give them all your focus, but I'm a mom too, and my child is just 7 now. And I was thinking that when I stop doing art, I'm not the best version of myself. And I have to keep going for him. So when I create art, I'm also a better person for him too, when I'm a better person for myself. So I want to know about this time and how you change when you get back.
Okay.
Thank you.
My mother was shocked when I had my first child. She was like, I can't believe you are going to have kids, because art was everything, right? So you're having kids, really? But I have to say, I think that when they were babies and they were growing up, they were so consuming that I don't feel like I even missed it. It's kind of strange to me when my life was so concentrated on art before them, and now to have a time in my life when I didn't even pick up a pencil and not feel like I was missing something. I don't know why. I can't explain it. I think it was just because I really loved being a mom. I loved them. I loved being a mom. It was it felt so good. It actually, and before I had them, I wasn't saying, oh, I want to be a mom. I have to be a mom. I want to have kids. I didn't feel like that. But once they were here, it was just like, that's it, you know? And then when I got back into it, it is like riding a bicycle. You're back in, and you're back in full. And I think it was nice for them to see me do something like that. They never took, well, actually they did. I did a test when I decided to teach drawing again. I did a test class. My 2 boys in it, my neighbor, her 2 kids were in it. So I did this test course on this. I had them do my class. And so that's the only time my kids ever took any drawing lessons or art lessons from me. So when I opened this studio here, my son says, oh, good, now you have some kids you can teach. Because they're 27 and 29 now, so they're adults. And but they were happy for me, because now you have, because I used to try, don't you want to do some art? Can't you do some art? Want to learn how to paint? No. Although they did do things with art, just not with me. They did, like they made their own Pokemon cards. So, so that was fun. I took a lot of life drawing studios when they were growing up. Every Friday night there was a group that met in St. Lambert, and I was religious to that. I'll share some of those here with you. I only have a few. I have tons and tons and tons, but there's just too many. But I really loved this class. It wasn't really a class, it was a studio. There were usually 20 to 30 participants, and you paid $10 to go, and the money went to the models. And it was every single Friday night, but it was a really, really important part of my life. I love the human form. It's probably my favorite. Drawing and people are some of my favorites. We had a lot of different models. Okay, I'll stop sharing. Okay, so I had one show. I had one single show, solo show, and I've been in shows collectively, but my solo show, it was very difficult for me because I'm all over the map. Most of the stuff in the show was acrylic or pastel. However, there was no subject matter. I am literally all over the map. I draw people, I paint people, I paint birds, I paint landscapes, I don't have, I think if anyone looked at my art, they would not be able to tell it was mine because I don't have a theme. I don't have I'm not always the same. I've tried, I can't do that. Maybe that's why I love to teach. Here we teach creative arts. We teach all different kinds of art. The only thing we don't teach here is oil. And maybe that's why I like to teach, is because I am so all over the map. Here, I'll just show you a few. Oops. So I've almost left the meeting. Okay, so this is part of the stuff that was in the show. You can see that it's like all over the map. This one actually sold in Cornwall. This is 3-dimensional. This is a little dragon and an egg on a board, actually. This was the first painting I ever sold. You can see my graphic art comes out a lot in my stuff as well. See, abstract. I often use acrylic like watercolor. I enjoy splashes and making things. This is mixed media. These are actual letters from the 1800s. I actually have a pile that my mother handed over to me, and I've used a few of them in paintings. This is a very large painting. Oh yes, and I illustrated the book. And this is my studio. I'll stop share. Okay, so let me just take a quick peek at my.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Yes, please.
You mentioned right hand teaching methods. Could you
Drawing on the
elaborate
right
that?
side of the brain.
Right, yeah, sorry, right side brain teaching methods. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. Artistic expression is, drawing is on the right side of the brain. Language is on the left side of the brain. And as we grow, as we age, by the time we're, say, 9, it really starts at 8 or 9, depending on the child, maybe sometimes 10, the left brain becomes much, much more powerful than the right brain. The left brain is verbal skills. It's language. It's putting your hand up and saying, this is a finger, this is the palm, where drawing doesn't have any words for this. They just see it. The right side of the brain just sees it. It has no words. So drawing on the right side of the brain tries to access and strengthen the right side of the brain. And the way you do this is by looking at things in a different manner. You might turn it upside down. If you're trying to copy a drawing, say, your left side of the brain is saying, okay, now that is a shoulder. Your right side of the brain gets confused by the left side of the brain because it only sees a line. So when the line comes out different, the left brain says, see, you can't do it. Where the right brain knows it can do it, but the left brain keeps shutting it up. Does that make sense? Am I making sense, or am I just, yeah? So the left brain is so powerful that it won't let the right brain draw what it sees. So if you take that drawing that you want to copy and you turn it upside down so that you can no longer tell what is the shoulder, what is the finger, it's a little bit easier to draw what you see because right brain becomes stronger. Another exercise that's really powerful is to it's blind contour drawing, is to look at something and not look at your paper, but pretend that the point of your pencil is connected to your eyeball. Your eyeball moves slowly across whatever you're looking at. And as it is doing that, your pencil is slowly making a mark on the paper exactly as your eye is moving. You're drawing the contour, you're drawing the little pieces of whatever it is you see. The more you look at that thing, I'm looking at something right now, I can't help it. The more you look at that thing, the more details you see. And your right brain becomes disconnected from your left brain because your left brain is not looking at the pencil that's drawing on the paper. So it strengthens it and makes it stronger. What happened to me is, what happens to most 9-year-olds around that age, they start to become so left brain strong that right brain stops or is quieted. So they have this idea in their head that they want to draw this picture. So they go to draw this picture, but it doesn't look anything like they want to because left brain has decided to tell them how to do it when it's right brain that should be doing it. So they quit. Kids quit. They quit at 9 or 10 because they can't get what's in their head onto the paper. My goal is to really try to grab that before it happens and not let that happen. If I can teach kids at a younger age, at an age before this starts happening, if I can get them to understand, get their right brain strong enough, it'll never happen. They'll always have the skill. They won't give it up because having this is so important. It's not a what is it called? It's very important. It's imperative. Drawing is another way of communicating. It's another way of making sense of the world. Reading is important, but drawing is as important as well. And kids give it up, and I want to grab them before they give it up, because if you can always, how many adults have you heard say, I can't draw a stick figure? The thing is that's because they gave up at 9 or 10. It's not because they can't draw, because everyone can draw. They just stopped at a certain age. But when they were younger, I bet you drew. I bet you could draw. It's just you get self-conscious and you have to be right. I have a 12-year-old student who she's extremely good, but she's paralyzed with fear. And I gave her some oil pastels and said, okay, we're going to do a landscape. I want you to think about what you want to see. I don't want you to just copy what's there. I want you to think about what you want to see. She couldn't put her pastel to paper. I'm like, what is happening? And she was self-aware enough to realize that she was afraid of making a mistake. She was literally paralyzed about making a mistake. I said, but there are no mistakes. There are no mistakes. No matter what goes on that paper, you learn from it and you either discard it or you bring it further. Every single piece of art that I've ever done, that most artists have ever done, has what I call an ugly duckling stage. It's a stage where, what am I doing? This doesn't look anything. This is awful. Yeah, spicy smiles. If you can push past that ugly duckling stage, you usually can come up with something that's better than that ugly duckling stage. I didn't have anyone when I was a kid to tell me that. I tossed so much stuff. I didn't even learn that in university. When I went to university only for a year because in the States it's extremely expensive. I went for a fine art and minored in stage design. And even in university, I was never shown that just work through it. Keep going. Don't give up on the piece after piece after piece. No, don't take another piece of paper and start over. Let's see how we can fix this. Let's see how we can make this work better for you. Every kid who comes here and says, oh, I don't like that. I'm like, okay, so you're allowed not to like it. Every artist doesn't like some of their work. However, I want you to tell me why you don't like it. So we have a discussion about why they don't like what they're seeing. They're able to pull out words, new words that they are coming up with, to critique, to actually start to understand what they didn't like. I try to explain to them, because if you can understand what you don't like, you've learned something of what not to do next time. Now that you know what you don't like about it, let's see how we can fix it. So I try to do that as well. Let me just show you a couple of pictures of the studio. By the way, I started my studio pretty small, and it grew really fast. It seems that a lot of kids like to come here. And so at one point I decided, okay, am I going to do this? Because if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this all the way. And I hired Roxanne. Roxanne, can you say hi? Roxanne is a teacher. She teaches here with me.
Hello.
I hired her last, when did I hire you? Oh my goodness, COVID has really messed us up, eh? I hired her a while ago, and
March, I think.
In March? Yeah.
I started in March, but I think we started
Yeah.
talking in January.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Roxanne is going to be pretty much full time, because the day camps are starting on Monday, and we have a lot of kids from 9:30 to 3:30. So she's going to be working a lot this coming month. Actually, August is a little slow. July is pretty good. So thank you, Roxanne. I hope you still like working here.
Of course. Of course.
Awesome. Okay, so I'll show you some pictures of my studio. I only have a couple. I tend to forget to take pictures. I'm involved and I help a lot with the kids, and well, actually these are adults, so yes. I tend to be so hands-on that I forget to take pictures, but this is what the studio basically looks like. It looks a little bit different now because I have, we've extended, I've doubled the size. I used to only have, let me see, do I have another picture? This is just artwork. I used to have, I'll stop sharing. I used to have half of the studio, half of this room was my husband and my computer desks and our workstation, and the other half was the studio. But I recently opened the whole studio. So we have room for more kids, even with social distancing. I can fit 8 in here with more than 6 feet apart. So once the camps start, each will have their own desk, their own chair. We'll still wear masks, but we will be social distanced. So yeah. So it looks a little different than it did in those pictures, but.
Robin?
Yes.
Yes. How many, no, what was I going to say now? Okay, so you've been teaching right through COVID then?
No, I was
Okay.
shut down.
Okay.
I started my spring session. I don't even know the dates. I can pull them up, but they stopped me halfway.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it was the beginning of April when we went into the lockdown. I was shut down.
Yeah.
And I was shut down previous to that as well.
Yeah.
So being shut down, my session is 10 weeks. So the kids have only done 5 weeks. So I gave everyone who has 5 weeks left the option to trade in the money for some camp time, or wait until I can reopen for classes, or put it towards the fall. And
Okay.
I'm getting a little bit of everything. I'm allowed day camps. This is a little confusing in my mind, but I'm allowed to have a day camp, but I'm not allowed to start my classes up again.
And what do you do in a day camp? Like how many kids do you? And you
Art.
have how many kids in a day camp?
I can fit 8. I'm
Okay.
allowed 20. Okay, I looked really closely at the day camp rules, and I'm allowed, I think the reason that the day camps are allowed is because they want kids to have activities to do. And the rules are, I think it's also because you have a group of kids for 5 days. You
Okay.
have back and forth and in and out, and a kid here and a kid
It's
there.
the same
It's the
kids.
same kids. And I think that that is what makes the day camps allowed as opposed to art classes.
Yeah, and then you have time to clean everything for the next group.
Absolutely.
What
But the thing is even the art classes, I only had the same kids every class.
Yeah.
With an hour and sometimes 2 hours between classes for cleaning. So to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I'm just gonna follow the rules.
Follow the rules. Okay, my other question, which is what I forgotten, is how do people find out? Like, where do we go to find out what your classes are, your day camps are?
I have a website and a Facebook page.
And what's the website?
I can chat it, I suppose. Okay, so let me just put it in here, okay?
I would love to share something with you all.
Yes, please.
That the first months when I came to Cornwall almost a year and a half ago, I was just, trying to discover what's happening, where is the artist in the area. And I wrote to Robin in her page in Facebook, and Robin was so kind, and she sent to me lots of information, what to do, what did the artwork. She told me about the artwork. I didn't know nothing about it. She told me first, and then from the artwork, I get to know Linda and Kathleen and everyone else. And I didn't see you, Robin, at the time. I didn't see you as a person because I was just talking to a page, and I saw the page have lots of people working, right? And then I met Robin later in the gallery, and then I saw your work, and then I was like, there is something is happening. We should do something together. And I saw your ladies, your painting for them. That was also very, related to the body painting. And I was thinking,
oh, yes.
I'm so grateful that Robin is here close to me. And I remember I tried to come walking to see your place because at that time I didn't have a car. And I figured out it's almost an hour and a half. And Robin was like, you can't walk. You're not close to downtown in Cornwall. Cornwall is another page in Cornwall. But yes, I would love to see more of your work. And I was wondering if you're opening to, I don't know, adult circle event with artists who want to connect with you. I know you do a lot for the kids, but what about?
Oh, I have adults also. I do adults.
Okay,
also.
So we create something for us then, and we come visit you.
Sure. I'll talk to you more about that another time. I teach, I teach creative arts. I teach right now, or previous, COVID has messed me up so much. Previous to the art camps, the day camps, I teach creative arts for kids, creative arts for adults also. I have an adult class of creative arts. Previous to that, I also teach drawing, all different kinds of drawing. Calligraphy, what else? Watercolor, things like that. But the more fun classes are the creative arts classes. And because I was so limited to the amount of kids that I could have in here, because before I opened up my studio, I could only have 4, I couldn't fulfill my creative arts classes. I was turning people away. So I dropped the watercolor classes and the drawing class and then just had the creative arts classes. For now, that is going to be opening back up in the fall. I'm going to have more opportunities and more different types of classes in the fall. But yeah, okay, so yes, we can talk about that at the time. Okay, so let me just show you a couple more things. Okay, so in the studio, when I say creative arts, we do all kinds of things. We do clay, we do paper mache. You can see some paintings back here. This turned out to be a really awesome bronze. She bronzed it. She painted it black and highlighted it with a bronze paint. We do pastel, and we paint more pastel. I really like charcoal. I love charcoal, actually. If you go to the Facebook page, either my personal one or the school one, you'll see a lot of charcoal, and I find that the kids really enjoy it. One of the benefits of doing charcoal, and I try to do this at least once a session, is that charcoal is very fast. It doesn't take a long time to get what you want. You can put on and remove charcoal very easily. And I find that almost to the kid, everybody really likes working with charcoal. There are only a few that don't like getting their hands dirty. And that does happen. I had one little girl, I think she was 5. We were going to do paper mache and she goes, no, my daddy won't want me to touch that. I'm like, okay. Oh yes, here's some more clay. This was fun. This was a really fun. This was a pinch pot project, which we turned into monsters. Color pencil. This is a statue. This is a color pencil work. And I work, when I have private students, I work right beside them. When they're working on something, I'm working on it as well so that I can show them, do this, do that. Okay, this is Crayola Crayon. My studio is called the Crayon Box Collective. It was actually a friend of mine, Judy, who offered that name to me. She's a writer, and it was part of a book that she was writing. And I said, that is perfect, because when I was growing up, my absolute favorite 100% best Christmas present ever was that box of 64 crayons. Every single year, that's what I got, and it was always my favorite. So I was interviewed when I first got here. Someone from the Glengarry News, I'm sorry, his name is escaping me, but he called me. He wanted to interview me because he was very curious about why I was called the Crayon Box. And so I told him that picture. He goes, but nobody uses crayons anymore. Nobody can do anything with crayons. So I said, do you want to make a bet? So I did this. I did this to show him that you can do things with crayons. And you can't see this very well, but these are 3 other Crayola crayon pictures. These are statues that we did in one of the kinetic art projects. This is a close-up of one of the crayon pictures. I had a lady come in. She wanted private lessons. She wanted to go from oils to acrylics. And she came and we talked, and she saw these crayon pictures on the wall. And she said, would you mind? I don't want to do acrylic anymore. I want you to teach me how to use crayons. So this is what she did after working with me for a few weeks. This is Crayola Crayon. What I would do is, she had a picture of her daughter's dog, and she wanted to give it to her as a present. So we began, this is mine. So I would show her how to do certain things, how to make it smooth, how to make whiskers, how to make the name Henry stand out. And this is what she created, following my lead. She did not draw, and she doesn't feel that she has the ability to draw. So I showed her how to take a photograph. It's a photograph her daughter took, how to take the photograph and used graphite transfer paper. So she transferred, I blew the drawing up on my computer, printed it out, and she transferred it by pencil to the paper. And then this is Crayola Crayon. And apparently her daughter loved it. So she was very happy about that. She only got halfway with me, and then I was closed down for COVID. She finished it on her own. And I think that's it for my yes. Okay. What happened? Okay, am I back? Does anybody have any questions?
Linda want to ask for a long time now something. Linda, you're muted, my dear.
You know, you've been talking along, and I have so many comments and questions along the way, and I wanted to ask and I'll comment on it because I will forget. Firstly, I really like the book Drawing with the Right Brain. I totally get it. Sometimes when you really engrossed in doing the work, you can't talk to the person beside you because you forgot the words. you get what I'm saying, I would just, I'm drawing this thing, but I don't know what that thing is. And I think I totally get the whole left brain, right brain thing. But I have a question is that you're trying to catch children before they grow out of the stage where they are focusing, using the right brain. So you're saying that after the age, are we hopeless? Like, like in what way that you
No.
can teach adults?
No, you can learn to draw as an adult. There is absolutely nothing stopping you.
Right.
I've had a number of adults work with me using the same method that I was teaching the kids at.
Right.
And I had one man, he was really awesome. He was with me for quite a while, and we do a lot of drills. Like I also teach technique. It's not just drawing on the right side of the brain. It's technique. Also, it's how to make circles, how to do lines, how to look at something very closely and render it perfectly. And at one point he says, when do you stop doing all of these drills? When do I actually become a person who can draw? And I said, I still do drills. If you don't still do drills, you don't get better. The drills are not, I'm constantly seeing how just drawing lines and drawing circles, it's not, and I actually enjoy it. It's not like I'm forcing myself to. It's like playing a concerto, okay? You need to know how to do the scales. You need to warm up. You need to do those drills. And so he says, okay, he understood. And then he said to me, he said, this is the hardest thing I have ever done in my life, is learning how to see and learning how to draw. But absolutely, he did not feel that he could draw a stick man, and by the time he was done with me, he could draw.
Excellent.
He understood, because it isn't about the ability to draw. It honestly is not about the ability to draw. It's about the ability to see and the ability to put what you see on paper.
Right.
It's a connection between the eye and the hand. And it doesn't matter your age, and it doesn't matter if you feel that you can't draw a stick man. You can if you try, if you give yourself that time. You can't do it right away. You can't play that concerto unless you had quite a few lessons. You can't do it right away, but I had a girl, she was 14, and she started, and she was like, I love to draw, but I don't like anything that I draw. And in the end, not in the end, it's just, I haven't seen her for so long. The last place we were, she was amazed at how far she'd come, because I had her first drawing in my files. I said, look, this is how far you've come. She's like, and you don't realize it's happening when it's happening, right? You don't realize that. It's just the skills are growing, and your ability to shut the left brain up really helps. And it's funny that you bring that up, Linda, because when I'm teaching, the kids laugh at me. Actually, the adults laugh at me too, because I will, in the middle of explaining something to them, completely lose my words and say, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I completely lost my train of thought. I'll stop drawing and I'll talk to you, because it really does. It's very, very strong. Not everybody loses, like I didn't lose it at 9. My right brain was stronger than my left brain, and it always has been. And maybe it was my vision thing. I don't know. Some people never lose it. Some people, it's there always. But most of the population feels that they can't draw. There are in other countries, and I'm sorry, I can't name which one, but I was reading this recently, is that in North America, you are taught to read and you are taught to write, but no one is taught to draw. I wish I had the name on the tip of my tongue, but it is a skill. Drawing is a skill that is taught in other countries, as important as reading and writing, because the ability to put something on paper is a way of opening up new ideas. It's like a box. It's like another way of thinking. It's extremely important, and I wish more people had the understanding of how important it is. I'm seeing these things where schools are not giving art to their kids, and it is not right. It should not be this way. It is so important. And some kids, you'll lose some kids just because there's no art. And I don't mean lose them to go to another school. I mean, lose them because that's how they learn. I had one son who was very, very, very scholarly, and another son who was very tactile. And he struggled, my tactile one struggled because school is not set like for that. But art would have been a really good place for him. So, any more questions?
Thank you. I really appreciate your answers. And yeah, I'm not so worried about my doodling, because that's what I do. I doodle a lot.
I had a teacher in high school, an English teacher, who didn't understand. And I used to do mandalas, but I didn't know they were called mandalas back then. But I used to do mandalas constantly with pen or pencil. And so he's giving some kind of a lecture on grammar. Can't remember exactly what it was right now, but I'm doodling as he's talking. And I'm making this mandala, and he walks up to me and he rips the paper out from underneath my pencil, long line, and he holds it up to the class. He says, "So Robin's not listening. She's drawing. She should be in art class." And so then I went back to him and I repeated everything he just said for the past half hour, because I was able to hear it because I was doodling. He just put the paper back on my desk and he said, "Continue." Because people don't understand the connection between drawing and life, really. It's not there for people. They don't understand it. And I do, and I want more people to understand it. I want more kids to never lose that ability, not necessarily to become artists, just to have this in their life. It's so enriching to be able to do something artistically, to be able to express yourself.
I was like that. I was like that in class.
Is that right?
I couldn't listen, and like I'd go bug-eyed, but if I was doodling, it was like I was paying more attention.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, I was really.
Absolutely. Another thing that I do in classes is we do art appreciation, and I'm going to be doing even more art appreciation as we go forward. I got a projector and a screen because art appreciation, art has to be accessible. Art has to be, you have to be able to talk about it. I want to give kids a voice. I want to give them words to explain things. I want to let them look at a piece of art and have feelings about it and have, oh, wow. And I want to show them that art is not just this perfect horse drawn on a piece of paper. I want to show them all the different types of art that there are out there, because so many kids say, "Oh, I can't draw, I can't paint, I'm awful at this." But wow, have you tried this? Have you seen this? Have you done, look at this sculptor? There's so much that I want to share. I'm sorry, I get excited about this. This is the best job in the whole world.
Yeah, I just want to comment as tell you that I think this is what you're saying is very important, and maybe after what we all went through in the pandemic and all these lockdowns, art become actually art went through this with us, and we went through this to get to know that art is healing and connecting people together more than ever. And when we saw people singing in the balconies in other countries and playing music in the street to just say that we're together, no one wanted to do more study or to read alone. Everybody wanted to feel that we're connected through art, singing and painting to each other, or even attending this as we're doing now, right? So I think maybe it's a new wave of getting this awareness that art is very important, and it's also a way of learning, connecting, and healing, and it's important for everyone, and it's not any less than reading, math, science, or because you see who will save the soul is artists in the end, and with all respect, of course, for every other subjects, but it's very important to keep this part for art as well. And I think our time is almost gonna finish, but I want to open the discussion with everyone. So if you don't mind, please, Maëlys and Jane, everyone, open your mics and let's talk together about our new intentions to see our art all together. So Robin, we want to visit you. We want you to come to Cornwall as well and see us. Who have a plans for the future? For I know that we're planning for the Cornwall Art Hive to have a 17th of the month, and it's a big invitation for everyone. Please join us to be with us at 17th. And I think Linda can share a little bit more, and of course Richard, because they helped a lot to make this happen. And Mylise, give us a hand and tell everyone from the seekers as well to join. And Robin, it's important that we see you in person. So come, drive and come over. So Linda, do you want to tell us about the 17th too? Because we are going to be back in person.
You'll have to give us a day workshop.
Oh, yeah.
That will be wonderful, Robin. Looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah.
This is July 17. Actually, still in the works. I've been talking to Lauren Tyo, who's the coordinator, the supervisor for the arts program for the playground program. So if it all works out, Art Hive is going to have a tent there, and we're going to have some supplies, and we're going to encourage
Yes,
people.
there being the pop-up park at the mall.
Where?
The pop-up park in front of the mall at First and Pitt.
Yeah.
Small stores, and then this green area, the small green area in front of the mall.
Yeah. Well, what's
Sorry,
there on July 17th? What is it?
1 to 3 p.m.
No, what is it?
Okay.
Art for all.
Art for all.
So right now, I'm talking to Lauren, and we are for the April 17. We are talking about doing it in
July
in the
July
park.
17, yeah.
Is at the park near the playground, because he's having a summer playground program, and we were talking about that particular location will likely attract more family and children and so on, and we can share some of our art supply, and they can create with us.
I'm sorry, I didn't know we had changed the venue. I apologize.
No. Like, this is a conversation I had with Lauren, and he was suggesting that why don't you do this over at the playground, because they are having a playground program on that particular day. So no, but we're still at the work, so I can't really give you a whole lot of details other than this is what we would like to see happen. And so keep an eye on our Facebook page, and we'll pass on information as they come to light. So
But couldn't there be like two places? You could have the green space, and then you could have the one at the park, mostly for children.
Okay, well, we love to have different places. There's a couple issues with that. Firstly, we have to have sufficient volunteers to man those places. And secondly, the green space, I'm still finding out whether we can actually use it, because right now they have, like those pop-up shops are being rented out. If we're going to set up, do we need to pay, and that kind of thing? So those kind of things that I wasn't able to get an answer as of now. So I'm hoping that at the beginning of the week I can sort that all out. But as far as getting two spaces going, we love doing that. If more of you would like to join us and be volunteers, and this way we can have as many spaces opening up as possible. So that'd be wonderful. So that's all I have right now. There's not really, all the information I could give you at this time. So,
Linda, whenever you do get the information, can you send it to info@theseeker.ca?
Definitely.
So that we can start sharing it for you.
I do appreciate that. Yeah.
Okay.
While I have on the floor, I just wanted to say that, like this whole, so talking about what Robin has been talking about all days, exposing people the opportunity to create, to think out of the box and think outside your left brain and go into your right brain. I think the Art for All, we have done that at one time. We actually, Yafa and I and a couple of the other ones, that we just close our eyes and we just start drawing ourselves on a piece of paper and just follow our fingers where we go. And I think we create a couple of pretty nice self-portraits in Picasso style.
Yes.
And I encourage everybody to try it. It is really quite a fun experience.
Yeah, it is fun and the childish energy. And this is why I think having Robin with us anytime soon to create in person to be really fun, right? Because we're going to be back, I hope, as well in the 125 Pastry Studios. So you're welcome to join us. It was really a pleasure learning from you and your passion, believing about art, doing it as your life journey. Thank you, Robin, so much for being with us in the Art Hive visit to your studio. Till we will come soon, right? We get the masks and we come and visit.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. And thank you for everyone for joining. And of course, the video for Robin will be in the Yak YouTube channel, and some more information and Robin page and website will be as well in the page for the Cornwall Art Hive. And I would love to see you all in person soon, and trying to hold me not to hug you, but I'm ready for hugging.
Thank you all for coming. I really feel the 1 hour is just not long enough, but unfortunately, that's all we have today. So thank you again, Rob.
Thank you very much.
There's so much I'm sure that you have to share with us, and time just too short.
Thank you. It was very interesting.
That's great.
Get the brain going.
Creative and inspiring and encouraging to keep going.
We want a workshop. You got to put us in. You better keep one of those days open.
Yes,
Yeah.
We drive
Okay.
by your house a lot because we bought property in Martintown. So
Oh,
now
okay.
I know what actually goes on in there.
Ah, yes, you do.
And Yafa, no, you could never walk out there. It's too far.
That's too far.
Yeah. It's on the road to Martintown. I forget where it was. I know I stopped there.
On the corner of the 19 and the 20.
Yeah.
They call it also the corner of Kinloch and South Branch.
Ah,
Okay.
Right near the South Branch garage, actually. If you get to the garage, you went too far.
yeah.
Let's go
okay.
together for out and about, my Lisa, one day.
Yeah,
Right?
we could.
Yeah,
Okay,
let's go
folks,
together.
I'm gonna cut the recording. I think we're
Yeah, because
we're
we
into
start
small
chatting.
talk at this point.